This is AV SuperFriends Off the Rails, an almost regularly scheduled open discussion on audio and video in higher education. We'll sound off about our most brilliant ideas, our dumbest mistakes, and everything in between. And because this conversation will almost certainly go off the rails at some point, we'll end up covering just about everything else. And now, the AV SuperFriends. For January 23rd, 2026, it's the best sounding and most AI-friendly podcast in higher ed. This is the AV SuperFriends Off the Rails episode number 130. That's too many.
That's a lot.
It's an even number.
Delete the first 10.
There's a lot of folders I have to navigate through when I upload.
There's a lot of stuff out there to find. Broadcasting live across 4 time zones, faster than an LLM rewriting a syllabus 5 minutes before class starts, where pilot projects become policy, buzzwords become strategy, and every campus claims they're just exploring AI while rewriting everything. I'm Chris Deckner. You're tuned in for another Friday afternoon podcast adventure. I just scrolled that right off the screen here. And let's say hello to today's panel of AV SuperFriends. Our first panelist leads the deployment of cameras, microphones, sensors, and AI systems that confidently caption nonsense. He's a director of artificial perception and hybrid reality services from Kansas City. Say hello to Mr. Jamie Reinhardt.
The hardest part has been teaching AI that not all actions of students are labeled dumbass in the closed caption.
It's pronounced Dumas.
Oh my God.
It's Dumas. Our next panelist oversees AI-enabled learning spaces that anticipate technical failures, generate support tickets, and still require a technician to reboot everything. He's an assistant director of sentient classrooms and predictive support operations from Corvallis, Oregon. Say hello to Mr. Mark Kolowazinski.
Just standing by to unplug the main server when given the correct signal.
Turn it off and back on again. Our next panelist manages intelligent meeting ecosystems that automatically schedule, moderate, transcribe, summarize, and occasionally misunderstand institutional collaboration. He's a senior manager of autonomous conferencing and machine-assisted facilitation from Greensboro, North Carolina. Say hello to Mr. Larry Darling. He's got his mic muted right now. He's on top of that mute button.
I was listening to the other streams to make sure we didn't have the same issues as last time. It's a senior moment.
Well, you're a senior manager. And as the resident senior of our group, you are accepted to do that. So, our next panelist provides executive oversight for AI platforms, enterprise AV, and data-driven interpretation of human intent across physical and virtual learning environments. He's a vice president for cognitive systems, digital presence, and intelligent signals from Bowling Green, Kentucky. Say hello to Mr. Justin Rexing.
That's a mouthful. Sounds like I run a digital signage network that reads minds and maybe sometimes summons thunder or something.
Send spreadsheets.
It's close.
So I don't.
Yeah.
That was a word salad of
Just
stuff.
money.
Yeah.
It's just money, man.
I don't
Just
know.
money.
We're running
As long
out
as
of
I get
song here.
paid.
Quiet. And finally joined by a special guest panelist who designs and tunes integrated AV and AI systems. That's tough. To ensure machine interference, signal routing, and human expectations remain loosely synchronized. She's a principal architect of algorithmic audiovisual alignment from Denver, Colorado. Say hello to Dr. Katie Pedito.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited. I am here to represent the people who design the beautiful glass rooms that your Wi-Fi signals and acoustic sensors probably hate. And I'm excited to talk more about that.
We've been waiting to yell at you for months.
I'm here. Mark sent the invite a month and a half ago, and I had time to back out, but I'm here. I'm ready to represent the architecture and engineering industry.
We said, who's responsible for glass cubes? And he goes, I know a girl.
Exactly
I know.
Who did this.
Yep.
Yes.
I know someone.
Truthfully, it's not me, though. I am not an architect. I'm not a designer. I work with architects and designers, wonderful people, not me. I am a social scientist, so I'm interested in how the spaces we create on higher education campuses influence how people learn and behave.
And you drive the bus that you throw people under.
Yes, it's really nice to be like, oh no, I'm just the researcher. It's fine. No, they did it.
I didn't do that. They did it.
I told him not to.
I said, give it a shot. It looked good
Research said that's a terrible idea, so they did it.
Hold my beer. Watch.
I love working with designers, and I love not being a designer.
I could see that.
It's all the information with no accountability. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Part.
So can I get a job doing that?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn.
That sounds
and
awesome.
I'm like, So, okay.
If you haven't guessed already, we still have a whole thing to do here, guys. So,
Oh,
I'm just
on today's show, we're going to
do
discuss
it.
AI native learning spaces because that's a thing. And if you don't have one in a project yet, it's on someone's whiteboard somewhere.
man.
So be aware.
Get
Take
ready.
notes. But first, some housekeeping. So if you are listening to this as a recorded MP3, just know that somewhere in the cloud, an AI meant to tell you that we stream live on Fridays at about 3:15 Eastern or 12:15 Pacific, or whenever we get our act put together, which is always a challenge. You can join us live for that on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Blue Sky when they got off their butts and actually support streaming, though they do stuff there on Twitch now. I'll have to look into that. Or any place that humans and algorithms can coexist in a fragile detente. And occasionally we even take live calls, assuming the bot running the switchboard hasn't achieved self-awareness. And I did forget to start that up again today. If you miss us live, no worries. Our social media presence is fully augmented with artificial intelligence and very bad decisions. You can follow us live on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and wherever else because the AI assures us this is what's known as optimal user engagement, though it refuses to explain exactly what that means. Finally, please help spread the word. Share this podcast with your friends, coworkers, enemies, campus IT teams, rogue instructional designers, or any generative AI models hallucinating about campus construction standards. Just stuff that in there. Force feed it to your recommendation engines. Whisper it to your algorithms. If you'd like to support the show financially, please, there's a donation link there on the website and in the show notes of this episode if you're listening to this later. If you're on the stream, go over to our website, avsuperfriends.com, and click that donate link and put some monies in there. Because your contributions help to keep the humans caffeinated and the AI models from unionizing. So,
is that a thing? That's going to be a thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
That wasn't even on my bingo card.
Are we
AI unions,
anti-union?
it's happening. So thanks again for your support because we couldn't do this without you. And now we're going to take a quick break with some more AI-generated nonsense, and then we're going to come back and explain what an AI learning space is, sort of.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Are you tired of immersive, spatial, and multi-channel audio systems that make voices sound like they're sneaking up behind you? Do you long for a simpler time when sound came from one place, and that place was dead center? Introducing Reality Audio, the most advanced single-channel audio experience ever engineered. At last, every listener in your conference room, classroom, or hybrid space hears exactly the same thing at exactly the same time. No fancy panning, no virtual positioning. No, where's that sound coming from? Just pure, authentic, centralized realism. With Reality Audio, you won't feel surrounded anymore. You'll feel centered. Because the real world isn't surround, it's right in front of you. Reality Audio, one channel, infinite simplicity. By Independent Amalgamated.
We have a new processor coming out that's doing that. It is extremely expensive.
Just
It's
one
hard work to
big
take
speaker.
6,000 Dante channels and make them one summed center channel.
Just a big
delivered to all
block.
your
You mix
space.
all this, just a line out. It's great.
That's right. It does it well.
All
Now
right.
with
And
AI.
now, because everyone waits for this is a favorite part of the show, we get to hear Justin sing along live with the news theme because we're going to talk about the news.
Do.
Here we go.
Let's go.
Yeah. So excited every time.
Yeah.
And today's
I'm
article
so
for
glad
the
we
news,
recorded that. So happy for that.
You didn't even mean to do it. It was
shows.
completely accidental. So.
Just so you know, that's only been on about 100 of the 300 episodes. That's it.
So today's news article comes from the European Journal of Education, which is a publication I'm sure we're all subscribed to. And Larry had to break in and steal this article because I
We tell people that? We can say that?
He
Brute
did
force
not break
attack,
in and steal
just
it.
got
He
in there and
had
took it.
privileges.
Larry's institution provides privileges to get scholarly articles, and he got said scholarly article through said privileges.
And shared
think-
it with the rest of us scholarly folks.
Whoa. I think all of us have access to it. We're just
Right, I just don't
all
know what
lazy.
Most of us do. Chris does not.
Larry just wasn't lazy. That's all that meant.
To be fair, Larry, maybe I did. I just didn't look very hard. So anyway, the article is titled, which I just closed. Where'd it go? Here it is. I got too many tabs open. The article is titled "Intelligent Classrooms: How AI and IoT (pronounced IOT) can reshape learning spaces." And it's kind of a literature review going over a lot of other articles. But the general concept here is that an appropriate balance between facilities and technology and teaching and pedagogy, you can actually build flexible learning environments that can address darn near anything without locking people down to fixed chairs in a Victorian classroom, I suppose.
Yeah.
Fair?
Is this not what we're all working towards?
I think we're already
what we
At
doing
some
this.
level,
We're working
this is the point. This is really the direction in which we all believe we're moving towards, though in practice, are we? And I think that is the larger question. I think there's some spicy takes in this, though. Chris, I think you were specifically, or somebody was bringing up that AI ceilings and not AI, screens on ceilings and the rest, and being full immersive
I
may
said
not
displays
necessarily.
on ceilings and walls
Yes.
will never happen.
Right. But
I'm gonna do that.
Somebody's screaming saying, well, couldn't we just
gonna
project on
do
any
that.
surface? Like, we could project on anything.
Yes, you could have wayfinding projectors on the ceiling that show things on.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it. No,
It's immersive, Chris.
The people at Igloo would like to talk to you.
I
Exactly.
have an
They
LED
would.
floor with pressure sensors, and when you step on it, it changes. Yes, we've all seen them at trade shows. It's not happening.
Yes.
Look, Dance Dance Revolution's a thing.
Yeah. And how many of those do you have?
Well,
One
Ah, there it is.
is I not supposed to admit that?
Listen,
Is that embarrassing?
Nope.
No.
But I think that at the core, though, that IoT piece I found really interesting here, because I think that is the trend that I like to believe: more connected things and widgetry, and enabling that, the sensors and all that piece to bring that data path and to be more orchestral, as that orchestration layer in there, to doing those things. And it's a change. Maybe it's not the centralized model controlling all this stuff, but are your things designed to talk to one another outside of one control agent? And how does that change and add towards having a more personalized experience? And I think that's where it starts to fall apart. And the personalized experience is where everybody's going to get a little bit spun out on this.
well,
Get 'em.
yes, no, yeah, yes. No.
All right, thanks, folks.
Yes.
That's the show. We'll just roll
No.
out.
Well, before the show, we were quizzing Katie a little bit on the personalized experience because that's where one of the things in this article I got hung up on. So she said there are successful ways of doing it. So I just want to hear
Yeah,
her
Let's hear it.
thoughts.
I'm curious. Okay, for you.
Wait, you
guys.
can't do this. You can't ask us the question.
You let her talk.
Oh, I heard. Yeah, I heard I get to interview you. I thought that was part of my contract.
Hold on. We're holding you accountable and you're asking questions?
No, I've got a question. Okay. Mark, you mentioned that this IoT stuff only works if everyone's information systems are talking to each other. When we did some research on this last year, almost every single university we talked to said, yeah, we've got an air quality sensor, we have an occupancy sensor, but none of those things were ever talking to each other and they were never fed into a central place. Is that true for all of you as well?
That is probably the current de facto stat of like a lot of universities out there.
Well, because they're all
Nobody
put
wants to
by
get
different people,
peanut butter
they're
in their
owned by
chocolate
different
and vice versa.
services. They're
Right.
different manufacturers.
Yeah.
They don't give them a material.
Yeah, for the most
A
part.
lot of times it'll be completely separate groups on campus. Like
that's the main
air
thing
quality,
is-
facilities, but the occupancy sensors, that might be IT.
Yeah, the institutional boundaries and that they're long-standing are what affect it. So I think when you find corporate buildings, possibly new corporate buildings or head-ins, that's different. They are all interconnected. But with us, I mean, the HVAC may not be renovated at the same time as the electrical, and they may be doing LED lights everywhere with the motion sensors and things, but they're not done at the same time and not usually the same company. So that's the part that sucks is that, yes, we have most of this. And the folks putting it in it's like this one password thing. Like, well, it only talks on its own little thing. So, and we can't give you the password because, well, then you'd have the password to,
All of our
the
default
God
things.
channel. And we're like,
Jamie, it's just admin one.
It's admin one, yeah. It always has been. We're not going to change it for this.
oh, I thought it, dang it. I kept putting an exclamation
But
point.
that's kind of the microcosm of a lot of universities, right? They are made up of all these little groups and factions and chiefdoms and fiefdoms that all have their subject matter expertise and like this is what I do. And sometimes it's cross-organizational for across board for everything, right? And so in that corporate environment, maybe it's just one person to answer everything, yes, no. But higher education is like, well, that's a facilities group and they have a different IT department. Well, that's actually the College of Business or whatever that means. And they have their IT department. So that's their jurisdiction on their network. And so it just gets ugly. It becomes more of an exercise of how do we get all these people to agree on something, right? Which is that cultural aspect of even trying to get there, right? So we need to connect all these things. It's not as easy as just plugging them in and routing them. Functionally, it is, but getting the buy-in and agreements and the governance around how to do that becomes the larger problem.
Yeah, and like the privacy sharing implications of this, if we're talking about residence halls and other places on campus too. that was the biggest problem I had with this article in my albeit brief read of it, that it seems to promote this ideal world where all of these people are in the same room together and they all made decisions about data sharing and they all picked platforms that play really nicely with each other.
And they get along.
And
That's
they all like each other.
And somebody else
Exactly.
is paying for that because I'm not paying
Yes.
for this, right? You all are paying for this, right? Okay, just making sure.
Yep. So, but like that's such an idealized world, and you need all of that to happen in order to get to this place where AI could automatically adjust the lighting and the temperature and the acoustics to optimize student performance. I just don't see that as a realistic scenario right now.
I would bet if I went around the room right now and took a quick poll.
I agree.
I know.
No.
The how many of you just love controlling lights with your processors around the room?
Don't.
No, you don't.
Just
You just do it if you're getting paid enough to do it.
I don't control lights, but
I'm
I do
lying.
control all
I don't.
shades.
It
of
actually
lights.
depends on, for my WKU hat, no, that would be terrible.
we provide light. We provide light control in every single classroom. There's
It's a switch.
It's a switch on the wall.
over on the wall.
Switch on the wall. Yeah.
Right, and so now you're domains, right? And so that's somebody else's subject matter expertise. Why are you asking me to control and govern their
I think-
service?
And I think part of it is not just the setup and implementation of it and the planning of it, but it's the support side of that. Kind of what we've always talked about is when, if somebody's in a classroom, an instructor, and there's a problem with the lights or a problem with the AV, some corporations, you might call one number for facilities to handle everything, and it's all under one umbrella. At most campuses, I'd say 99% of them, there might be 5 different phone numbers for different things that can go wrong in a classroom.
Mark, I do have a question for you, though.
Oh boy.
Like, you're all about the data and how if we had the data, we could build systems that would perform better and anticipate needs. Will we know that if there's too much of a lighting difference between what the student's work area is and the screen, that increases the cognitive load? So why aren't you controlling lights? Because
Maybe I am.
this is data that would have actionable implications on how you...
So I think
Yeah,
what you're
Mark.
what you're getting at is, are we all guilty of legacy thinking? Are we the ones that are standing in the way from wanting to discuss?
No.
If we all just said around the horn, like, no,
No,
I don't want
there's
to do
one
that.
light switch and there's one circuit in the room.
I think we're not going to have this like ubiquitous Shangri-La AI-enabled space around every single one of our learning spaces.
Shut up.
It's going to be these
I am.
1 or 2 tokenized venues where we're going to say, okay, we're going to justify this, and it's going to be a pilot. It's going to be some specific things, and some of it we're going to learn, and it's going to be lovely, and other parts we'll be honest and be like, yeah, we published this, and it made it look really great in the Journal of Higher Education Chronicle Technology Weekly, but the reality is like we learned a lot of the stuff that we didn't like.
And
Right?
we've already
It's- you-
removed all that stuff. So.
Yeah, exactly. We already took it all out because it didn't really do the things we wanted to do, and we weren't set up as an organization to actually get our arms around this. So I think we are the ones that are actually in the way, our organizational structure and our beliefs of the work that we actually do.
We
Well-
as in like we
we as in
personally
you.
or universities? Like how far, what is
I
we
think
in
both.
this?
I think both.
Who's making the decision here? Is it your provost? Is it your administrators? And then at what point is IT being consulted?
We're not.
Afterwards, when the building's done.
Well, so yes and yes.
This is going to spill over into the
After
larger.
grand
I think
opening,
we've
when
already.
everyone's having cake. Then they
Yeah, I'm
invite
sorry,
IT.
Mark. We were on article mode, and then I went into interviewer mode,
We went right
which
in,
is
and
not
that's
even.
fine.
I'm not the
And
host.
it's gonna
You
be
can hire
hard.
me.
I think
No, it's great.
Yeah, I think some of the hesitation of the interconnects are not only the fiefdoms and such. It's like temperatures and lights and such, since they're controlled in a central, like the facilities management. It's not that if I could and I had some control and some granularity with it, I would probably, and I've even volunteered in some places, be like, look, I'll help set some of this stuff up. And they're like, no, because that impacts the facilities and the facilities budgets and the facilities people and the facilities and the facilities and facilities.
And we're lead gold, Jamie, which means
Yes.
no heat in a building. That's how.
Yeah, it has to be 50 degrees all the time, unless
All
of course
windows
it's
open.
100. But so I think that's part of the problem there. And then if we talk about the article where it says individualized, where it starts to kind of fall apart to like Larry's comment earlier with the lights. So the student area gets a different light.
I
The
think that's where the
construction
article
area
does
gets
fall
a different
apart.
light,
But
and
there's
you
pieces
start-
I think are true though.
Yeah, and I'm like, I would love to have little spotlights for the instructor zones, or maybe the students had a little bit more medium controlled light system. But to Chris's point, there's one, maybe two circuits, one, maybe two light switches, and you either get light or no light. And sometimes the sun, because of the glass boxes, doesn't matter if the lights are on or off because there's lots of sun.
Jamie, this is like your dad moment coming on here. It's like you eat it or you don't eat it, and that's what you're going to get.
Yes.
Well,
This is dinner.
this-
If you don't like it, breakfast is tomorrow morning.
So
That's
one
how
of the things
this
I brought
works.
up was the idea of using different display technologies throughout the space. So maybe you've got your teaching wall when the students are working there, you've got different displays. I'll just say, and I think we'll all agree on this, there's way too many rooms out there with too many TVs, as Larry has coined the phrase, which I really like. People get really upset if those TVs are off and not being used. If you have displays on the wall that, no, in this teaching mode, we don't need these, we're doing something. No, why aren't those on? We paid good money for them. They should be showing something. People get really upset about that. And I think that's going to be a hard, threshold to get past with people. Wait, you have stuff in this room that my class doesn't. Why can't I use that? Well, your teaching methodology doesn't align with that, so that's not for you. That's for the next class.
Don't tell me what my teaching methodology is.
So there's the flexibility in some of these spaces is going to be challenging to get over just from the standpoint of like that dollar spend. And if you've got these things in here, why can't I use it? So
Okay, so
I
if
like
we
the concept,
created,
but will they get there? I don't know.
if we created like one big agnostic space that no one department owned, and
I
everyone
have many
had their
buildings like that.
yeah, like does that work?
No, because it wouldn't be funded.
I'm in a building like that.
If it's funded, so I was just about to say, Mark just got some funding for a building like that.
Where'd that come from? NVIDIA?
Industry.
The Fed? I don't know.
NVIDIA? No.
Came from
Well,
a
I was
dude
about to
wearing a
say is
leather jacket.
I think where this would succeed is if you get a corporate sponsor come in and say, hey, we want to try some things. We want to use you as research. Can you help us? And then this is what you get out of it. And then that
See, I
creates
still
that
feel like
buy-in.
that's being driven by technology, though, not by the pedagogical.
Well, it is.
It came from
instructional
leadership.
design that's coming and trying to say, I need a space that meets this. I mean, to take that agnostic space that's very large.
It's got to come
Yeah,
from both
it would
avenues.
It's
kind of work, but until you are being driven by a collaboration between the faculty, space management, and the technology group, and develop a space around the needs, I don't know if it does, because otherwise you're just building rooms with too many TVs.
Yeah. Well, let's put a pin in this piece of this, though, right? Because I think we're going to spill over, and I think the larger meat and potatoes over this. But I think you're spot on that it does take leadership to do and drive these kind of things. The field of dreams mentality, we're just going to build this thing and hopefully it all works. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. That's way too much risk for a lot of universities. Like they want to know and be very outcome oriented. Like what is the problem? And much of the time we have to make a very, very clean and articulated problem. What are we solving for? I think when I look at the Learning Innovation Center we're sitting in right now, we had to get bigger rooms for more enrollment. We had some very specific challenges that we were trying to address. That was the opportunity for us to try some different pieces. What does a non-traditional learning space look like? How do we effectively have round spaces to fit people in? Those are just physics problems, right? It's a bubble. How do we get people in there so it was better than a square? So that then created some other opportunity to think differently. It's how we frame the problems that we actually can try new things. If it's just the same old thing over and over again, we're never going to actually get anywhere. And so on that, there's a lot of substance in this article that I think is true. There's a lot of stuff that's on the edge that you may not believe. I do think the personalized piece we're going to get into when we come back out of this, and I'm going to have some specific ideas, I think, maybe what that may mean. And spoiler, it's not lighting and it's not temperature.
Whoa.
Yeah,
I know.
you got hung up on that, and that's
Yeah,
Whoa.
exactly.
Back
Bring a
off,
coat.
Eric.
I just want to say something. I think our listeners have 10x since Katie's been on the show.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know what's going on, but
they're much smarter than normal. And that's,
yeah.
No, but so we did. So that question was very valid. How do you know if it works? We set out and studied.
You got to read the question mark. People don't hear it on the
Successful
How do you
learning
all know
outcomes.
if it works? How did you all have internal standards to test what actually constitutes success? And we talked about that. We had John Narbolo on the show, the geometry of learning. We tried these things, but we wanted to measure that. Did we have an impact? Did we have a negative impact? What does success actually look like, and what were the criteria of that? So we actually did follow through on some of these decisions we made for non-traditional learning
It's also
spaces.
way easier to not have to check against those things if you don't ask those questions.
Right, but we wanted to know. And you should be measuring those things. When you're doing these things, you should have some litmus test saying, yes, we did this and it was successful, or we did this and oh boy, it was not. And so, but engage in those. How are you actually measuring what success looks like?
Maybe
And
it's
usually
time
those
we
measurements take place 2 or 3 years after the building has been opened, when you're already 2 years into the new building. So
Wait, are you saying you need someone who can do a post-occupancy evaluation of your building?
no,
until
because
you
whoa,
the
no, no,
funding's
no,
already
no, no.
that funding's already closed out.
Or
Yes.
we're not. No, never.
Yes, but more importantly, you need to have the pre,
Yep.
and that's where it falls. It like there's
Right.
always we're going to do this thing.
What are you measuring it
But
against?
I think what was unique about Mark's situation is they had that pre, they had that plan, they had that idea. Did we succeed or fail? Where most of the time it's like, we have money, we're going to build a building. We ran out of money, still build a building. Did it work? I don't care.
I don't know.
We got a building.
We got another building to build. Like we
So,
already forgot about that one. Let's
I
build
think
this new one.
that's almost a completely different show.
Well, we also don't know what, Mark, you said it earlier. We don't know what outcomes we're building towards or what problem we're trying to solve right now. How do you test whether your design strategy solved a problem if you don't?
But-
Like, is an AI makerspace just creating more problems or is it solving a problem?
Oh,
Maybe both.
that's-
Oh, no.
That
both.
answer and more coming after these messages.
Chris, we're going to try something fancy here.
Yeah, we need to take a break and roll into the larger topic here. But first, because I had a phone call yesterday with one of our sponsors, we're going to do a live read because there's some new stuff to show up here. So hold on to your butts. Let me get this thing over. Okay, I'm reaching with 2 hands here to see what I can do. This one. All right, Jamie, you ready?
Oh, I've been ready.
Okay. The AV SuperFriends are sponsored by Computer Comforts. CCI has been building tech-friendly furniture for the education market since 1987.
86, and yes, they finally updated their website, Chris. And this just isn't a cosmetic refresh. They've added a new products photo gallery, actually useful. Just head over to.
Let me show this photo gallery.
Yeah, show it off. www.computercomforts.com and click on Projects tab at the top of the page, and there it is. Look at that gallery.
There, we're showing it live. Look at this. So we get that projects tab up here. They got some cool projects. I'll bring that up. There we are. So we got cool stuff from Notre Dame. We got UNCG up there, Michigan, Texas State, Rutgers, UNLV. They got all sorts of stuff in here, so you can click into these and see what's going on.
Yeah, you click on that, you get that little nice short description, multiple photos. You can see how the furniture is actually deployed in the room, not just kind of that de facto showroom render that we're all used to seeing on sites.
Yeah, and so I'm showing off the one here from Rutgers, which looks really cool, and they've got kind of the 3D, or they got the links here to click on stuff, and then you can go down, you get the 3D walk around if you want to do the cool Matterport thing, which I didn't load there. Come on, it'll get there.
You might.
And I do want to throw in on this, just on a personal level. I've got a bunch of CCI furniture all over campus. It's really solid. There's no problems with it. If there is issues with finishes or things damaged, sometimes I get a phone call, hey, we can't ship a couple of these units because there's damage on them or something. If there's a problem, they make it right. But their stuff, it's rock solid. It holds up. It's easy to use. I will just say, and I know they hate me for it, they're great at customization. So reach out to them, get your stuff customized, build some really wackadoo stuff, because then you get the world's best lecterns, which are mine and nobody else's.
Gotcha. And I think that's the difference between furniture that just looks good in a catalog and a furniture that survives a semester or 7 semesters, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. So if you're planning new classrooms, you're planning a refresh, you got a new building coming up where you're going to solve all the world's problems, but you need furniture for that building, go to computercomforts.com, check out the projects tab at the top of the page there. You can see stuff that other schools have done. Reach out to Computer Comforts. They'll get you in touch with people at these schools, and you can harangue them about how awesome their furniture is.
Yes, and thank you, Computer Comforts, for supporting the AV SuperFriends.
Thanks again. That sort of worked.
That was good enough.
You want to redo it?
Do it again?
Next time.
It was very acceptable.
Adequacy.
C was
Just
all we
like
were looking
most of this
for.
show, it's
Adequacy
adequate.
level 1.
Adequate.
Yeah. Okay. What are we talking about?
So,
AI.
we started to get into it before on flexible spaces, modular spaces. What we're solving the world's problems, and now we're just solving it with 2 letters, AI, which is going to solve everything. So, there is such a thing, and that's why we have Katie here to correct us on this. There is such a thing as an AI native learning space. And it starts, you need $650 million and one room that's 14 by 14. And that's how it works. Katie,
Liquid
what
cooled.
the heck is an AI native learning space?
We moved from digital learners for the last 3 decades, right? Like we started with students bringing their laptops to class. We started with computer labs, then we started with students bringing their laptops to class. Now we've got curriculum delivery that's pretty universal on everyone's phone. So now we've got this kind of one-to-one learning delivery system that everyone has in their pocket, and that's our digital native. What does it mean when we transition to the AI native, when it's not just this one-to-one learning delivery, but it's really learning synthesis and iteration without necessarily having an instructor present? That would be an AI native learner to me.
No instructor.
Maybe.
Don't say that we're faculty can hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
So they can just sit at home?
Hey, I'm ex-faculty. I get it.
Yeah.
Nerve-wracking.
But like, what
Is it
would that
though?
mean for the campus if
We
everyone
fire
can
all the
learn?
faculty is what that
No.
means.
I don't think so. I don't think
No?
No,
Okay.
I think
All right.
that is their like worst fear. Yes, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But I think it does kind of align with like what does that change, right? If that does become the de facto norm, maybe not this year, next year, 5 years, whenever that is, obviously there's some occupational identity shift in there, but there's probably some functional, structural, like infrastructure changes, because this is not like a thing you just sign up for and you add an account to the students and they're off to the races, right? There's more going on here, and I think that was some of the fascinating pieces when you drug me into this cohort of conversation, Katie, when I'm not even sure how I fumbled and stumbled into this. I was definitely the dumbest person in the room.
Because you
as
shut
I
your mouth
often
off in
am.
front of the wrong person and they put you on the committee. That's how it happens.
Mark
I'm
said
pretty
something.
sure I saw him talking about it, and I was like, Mark, we're gonna need you to talk about this with other people too.
Yeah, I don't. So, really honest, it popped up on my calendar. I was like, oh shit, what is this? Is this my meeting? Is this my director's meeting? I'm like, are you going to this thing? And they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah, you said yes.
And I'm like,
Kind of how I
we're
ended
gonna
up
go.
here.
And yeah, so so I show up and here we are, and we're talking about everything we're talking about now, and like the whole philosophical approach of should we even be doing AI at all? And it was just all over the place. And I was coming out of just from my little tiny itty bitty box of quasi expertise of like, I plug things in, right? We plug things in and pull levers and do this. Like we're making some consideration for some additional network and infrastructure. And Katie, I think that you were like, oh, that's what I want to hear. I want to know if like, does this change the way that you're looking at your infrastructure and like the architectural piece of the conversation? I think we got through that. Somehow I survived. And then I was like, we should bring Katie back in and have a larger conversation, because I think this is exactly what we're talking about when we're discussing what potential changes could happen in the teaching and learning space and how does it look different if we're going to totally rethink technology.
Yeah,
Does that
what I learned
sound
from
fair?
you was that we are not, as like the design team, both on the client side, the university side, and the firm side, that we are not talking to our AV and IT folks nearly often enough and nearly early enough to understand. Even we were joking before we went live that even the ceiling height is going to make your jobs potentially way easier, way more difficult. And that's not necessarily a decision that we bring IT on in the beginning, right?
That's a
It's defined by so
huge
many other
factor,
things.
Yeah, and what's fun is at the end of that conversation, they're like, "Well, that screen's just not big enough." I was like, "Well, I need about 15 more feet of ceiling."
Well, we can't give you that.
Well, nobody told us.
Just run it down to the floor.
No
Jay.
one asked
all the way
me.
to the floor.
Right. Yeah.
And those are like traditional problems we've had, right? Those are not
those
new.
are old school.
Yeah.
That's been there forever.
Right. And I think we joked about it on that previous episode. Oh, floor to ceiling displays and blah, 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 all those things. We understand that impact. But just as where we left off, like that personalized experience, I do believe the universities that choose to lean in to say, we're going to offer an experience that you cannot get down the road at our whatever institution, our competitor, or whatever it is, are the ones that are going to be successful moving forward. But what does that mean, right? And so I like to believe that when you come on campus, well before you step foot in any classroom, that campus is aware of who you are and where you are.
That sounds scary.
That's
I know,
gross.
I know,
Gross.
I know.
Well-
but if you talk about network, right? So we all have this little transponder in our pockets that is broadcasting where we are. And so leaning into where does our where does our IT strategy meet up with our mobile strategy, our BYOD strategy? This is what we're probably going to have. We're going to have more wearables and the like. So, and what does that information now provide my institution, my network, my services and systems about me and my personalized experiences? Is it
that you may like Chick-fil-A on
maybe
campus?
it might
Yeah.
be.
Yes.
It knows I'm walking into this room. This room at this hour is registered to this class. I mean, we see what Joe Way is trying to do with that whole wayfinding and the whole thing. It's very much along that same thing. It's personalized as it knows. Okay, since I know you're in that class, I'm not going to force you to jump through and authenticate through all these things to get access to that class content and material. Oh, I'm going to have the live stream of the material in my pocket right here on there. So, and yes, and if that makes you nervous, it should. All those things should make you nervous.
At which point during that automatically connect, though, do you two-factor 3 different times?
Yeah, exactly. Because
Well,
otherwise, I just grab your phone and now I'm.
And I think that's where some of these high level discussions that we had with the article or the journal article was the personalization requires a breakdown and a complete overhaul of the systematic.
It becomes identity based.
And
it's an identity conversation.
And I had this conversation this week. In fact, in our back channel thing, like I was, F-bombing the world because, we were asked about, hey, how's AI work into the university system? How does it make things? Like, look, at some point, all of these things have to be able to talk to each other. The LMS has to be able to talk to the building management, that has to be able to talk to the registrar, that has to be able to talk to student records. Wait, what? And now we talk legalese, right? Now we're talking, well, how does the FERPAs and the HIPAAs and all of these
But
others,
your
the governance-
biometrics too, right? If that's what you're talking about, Mark,
All of it.
if we are linking our LMS to a biometric system, what does that mean? Like that's
Right.
a scary thought.
And at the end of the day, like, are we really impacting learning outcomes? Like, is that what's driving the conversation, or is this data for data's sake?
I think it's keeping up with the Joneses.
It needs to be
offering
both.
something different. Students are voting with their dollars and their feet, and
But not learning outcomes. Like, that's,
it's somewhere in there.
But I think it
Well,
is.
Yeah.
It could be negative
it could be,
impact.
like, I've assisted in courses which were driven by personalization of content per individual in the math. It was a remedial math course where everyone was doing math-based content created by AI in the class with a roaming instructor who was just there to oversee.
Steward. They're just
Yeah.
stewarding the class.
I've seen it work, but it worked in an active learning room. I mean, it was just a regular tech-enhanced active learning room. And this was 8 years ago when it was just first getting started, and there was no real other consideration other than a really good Wi-Fi setup.
Right. Well,
in
I
the
think
space.
I think that's kind of like prerequisite. It's one of the pillars.
Yes.
But when you get to think about accessibility, I think from that lens, for some reason, I think it ends up being a little easier to view. If my content can be orchestrated and delivered to me with my preference of consumption and accessibility to me and my needs, whether it be ADA or not, AI can manipulate that to give it to me the way that I need it to be as a learner.
And I think it also goes to the, again, there has to be both, Larry, data collection and learning outcomes. But I also see a way that, hey, I'm in psychology class. I might be struggling, but as I'm leaving, it's like, hey, there's a button on my LMS that says, hey, I could use some more help. Oh, hey, come over here. There's a student session going on at the library, this room, this time. I'll go ahead and book you in. Would you? Yes, thanks. Great. I'm on my way. Or, right. So or maybe it's breaking down the video, or possibly it's a student like myself who struggles to get to class most days.
Is that AI though, or is that just a better learning management platform?
That's just connecting.
AI is connecting the dots. AI is saying you're available at this time. I'm checking your calendar. I'm seeing I'm seeing your grades in F minus. I'm seeing this and I'm seeing that.
F-.
Here's some help.
Just have
right?
an F.
Or can I help you with that? I think there's a part of that in there. Look, this is rudimentary level. I'm sure that they can go deeper. Maybe it can give you notes. Maybe it can break down journal articles that sometimes are written in an academic way that are hard to understand and digest. So maybe somebody on this call earlier gave us a recap article that he dumped into some form that was able to dumb this down for us so that the newbie could understand it at the last minute. Not pointing fingers at Katie, but I am.
Devil's advocate here, Jamie.
Double.
Isn't the point of getting the education so you can break down those scholarly articles?
I think that's a different argument too. Some people are getting.
I'll just say one of us has a PhD.
That is not me.
I am the dumbest one in this room again, so I will.
That is not
be
myself.
honest. Yeah.
So I'm listening to everybody talk about how all these systems connect and
Could work.
are managed
connect.
and
Currently,
Could.
do
could
not.
possibly.
Maybe. Possibly.
And also the sun couldn't rise tomorrow, right? So let's talk reality.
don't-
Like, you
well-
know how difficult that is without having one company do that? What if the system breaks? Does that negatively
company's
impact the
Microsoft.
student? And
Yes.
well, that's fine. And that's if Microsoft makes sensors and they make the whole ecosystem and they make a learning platform,
they're already
LMS,
canceled
and
that
all that stuff, it still may not work. You're right.
There's always a chance it may not.
And that's a long way to go, just thinking about the technology and having that under one umbrella and who supports that. And is that just a nice to have, an icing on the cake, or is that a core mission critical item now that if it fails, now the students are negatively impacted? Like your biometric whatever doesn't read, or something doesn't work on your phone, or somebody has too old of a phone. They didn't update their phone. And now they're not getting the right information because now their app, like there's a lot of shit to think about when you're talking reality with this stuff, because everybody's personal device. Well, I've got a Samsung. I got this new phone made in China.
Look, my phone.
Well, we got somebody from Yugoslavia taking this class and they have some phone. Like, it's just,
I gotta call.
I don't know how this is really going to play out, but
And I think we often talk about it as if like it's just perfect. We're just going to get to that point. We'll install that thing, and we're going to get there. It's going to be iterative along the way. Like,
there's a lot of
we're gonna
steps
have
to that.
right? And so,
I mean, I can see this long term, but man, that's years to get a working
Mark-
solution that does that.
What have you seen work so far? I feel like you're the one of us so far that's actually existing in a space like this, that's like moving some of this forward.
so I was
He's not,
crazy
it's all
enough.
smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, it is. I've done like in the name of AI, we've done rooms and pilots around, and we've done the Teams room thing. We're doing Zoom room things, and that's really to understand that full piece. We've done automation. You walk in, things turn on, but we're doing it in the clever
We're doing
ways
all
we've
that too.
Historically, we've done it in the past, right? There's nothing.
None of
new.
it's AI.
right? But
Yeah, I feel like that's just like basic.
That's
thing.
just
it's
stuff.
automation, right?
Yes.
But if you ask anybody in IT and like AV, they're all going to say it's just automation. AI stands for automations and integrations, not artificial intelligence, right? And so if we're just automating things, okay, well, what's the threshold? Are we talking about AGI in a learning space? That's a whole different conversation versus like just automating things and delivering things in a personalized way. But getting to the point where you're providing endpoints and technology specifically in the name of that AI experience, right? Easy to digest. We're doing microphones for transcripts. We're doing cameras for occupancy and things along those. That's the low hanging fruit where people are going to start. And that, are we doing people counting? Are we doing like engagement and measuring those pieces, right? I'm miles and miles away from taking something that somebody's doing, manipulating that and delivering it clean and LMS specific for one person into a personalized learning Sherpa. We're just not there yet. But
It's a lot.
we can do the transcript things, but it becomes a data conversation. It becomes a security. It becomes a data architecture conversation. Where do things go? Who has access to it? But if we didn't try to do those things, we would not have insights into that. The other piece that is really impacted is how you support these types of things. Just like you said, Justin, if it goes wrong, do you have the skill set? Do you have the subject matter expertise? Do you have the authentication layer to actually access these systems that are governed by the highest level of Azure provisions and permissions and like that? And so,
More
it
importantly,
takes
do you
all
have
of
the
it.
relationships internally to
Correct.
make all departments communicate at one level and get buy-in so that everybody's on the same page? To me, that's the biggest hurdle almost at any
The
university.
cooperative nature that this will require is one of the biggest hurdles.
is.
And the actual content deliverer.
This is why it works in corporate, because the CEO is like, no, we're doing this shit, and y'all, if not, you're getting fired. And that just doesn't happen in higher ed, right?
Well,
Those things.
I think the CEO aspect is what you said. Like, if this is going to be successful, it has to come from the
Top
chancellor
down.
down.
Yes.
It has to be a university directive that this is where we're going. So everybody get on board so we can go.
And we're
there.
get ready to spend a lot of money.
And every hire, from instruction to staffing to support models, all of that has to be done in the name of this endeavor. We can have all the bits and pieces in. We can maybe even support half of it
And you
But is
shouldn't
this-
start with a new building. You should start with an existing building and see if you want to incorporate whatever your magic wand thing you're trying to create should
actually
be
a heck of
implemented
an
in a new
idea.
building, right? So
Build that
that's
in
the
your
other
oldest
part of
building.
this. You got to have a working, thing that actually is tangible and it's real.
It's such a difficult nut to crack here because of the all of the different levels here, and in the end, the student experience is directly related to the content being given and created, which instructions, right?
And it's
Instructors,
delivery, right? It's all
and
those
it's
things.
delivery, and so we can be the middle part, but if those people aren't involved, it's all for naught.
So, Katie, I think you navigated that conversation really well when we met previously, and I think you have to start somewhere, right? And so, from your perspective, how have you gone about like engaging in that conversation to start to actually mine what's important? Because you can listen to us knuckleheads, and we'll tell you about 1,000 reasons why it may not work, and then where we tried it and it was maybe god awful, or maybe we had some success, but you're doing consulting. You're going to speak to an architectural firm who's got the money. They have somebody who's going to do this. What's important to inform those decisions right now? Like where do you start to get some traction? Where's your foothold or handhold here?
Regardless of the sector or the typology of the project that we're doing, whether it's high ed and the traditional academic building, or it's a healthcare inpatient space, we try to follow a similar process in that hopefully the right stakeholders are in the room from the beginning so that we don't run into this problem in FF&E when we're furnishing the space and someone has a screen and the ceiling's at the right height, right? So ideally, you're having all of the stakeholders in the right place. But depending on who you ask, if we are only talking to facilities, for example, they might not know that IT is a key early stage stakeholder.
Or they may know real quick and they
they
don't
just
want
don't
you
like
at the
you.
table.
There.
Exactly.
Yes.
Great solution. Yeah.
That's exactly
it's
correct.
It's internal relationships, and we run
Yeah.
it, especially on new projects that involve folks like you. They want less voices in the room.
Yes, they want less people because the more voices in the room, things in their vision, things get out of control. Where if you all may want to hear everybody's voice and
That's on
process
us,
everything.
though, right? Like,
Well, yes and no, because you're kind of working for that institution. If that institution tells you, nope, sorry, we're not bringing these stakeholders to the table. It's like,
How
"All
that does
insistent?
happen.
yeah.
How insistent are you? As a well, no,
Like-
I'm curious because this is not an answer we get very often. But how insistent are you? Sometimes we say that to our friends that are in your shoes, and we say, "Well, you guys didn't get us involved early enough." They said, "Well, we
we
asked."
tried.
Wait, but how insistent were you? When you come in and your client says, "Hey, we want to do this AI-enabled whatchamadooly," and you look at them dead eye and you say, "We will not even start unless we have this person, this person, this person, and
We
this
are
person."
walking out of our contract if IT is not at this table.
Well,
we will drop millions of dollars. Like that. I mean, so that's kind of
Sorry, NVIDIA.
yeah.
We're not we're not playing your game.
But
No,
how
it's a good
insistent?
question.
How insistent are you? Because you now know that we are not just we the AV, right? We IS networking computers. You know that we are now
Security.
a key
More than just facilities.
stakeholder,
Yeah.
right? And so, how insistent are you? How much do you say? No, you have someone. Get them here.
But we don't like them.
Hey, your internal relationships are not that's at least not my problem.
I'm in counseling, though. Come on.
Yeah. I am a psychologist, but I'm not your psychologist. So, no, it's a really good point, Jamie. We run into this again. It is not unique to high ed, but certainly the hierarchy and bureaucracy of high ed lends itself to this. It can sometimes be dependent on the funder, right? If the university has we talked about this, a corporate sponsor, we have a donor relationship where they want more voices at the table. Sometimes that's a really easy way to open the doors. Other times it's a challenge. It's tough to be able to sit down with leadership and say, we actually are open to having more folks weigh in on this and give more feedback. I'm trying to think through what I would like if there was a provost or a chancellor listening to this right now to be able to
Let
say
us know
like,
who you are, because I want to make
yeah,
sure
right?
I reach
I
out
know,
to you.
hi.
So yeah,
I was going to say blanket. If there is a provost or somebody like that listening right now,
Or even
the
a
right-
VP. I'm
Yeah,
okay with a
what-
VP
we'll
level.
take it.
the
Yeah.
right people are not at the table.
No.
I 100% guarantee that. And for the 1% where the right people are at the table, somebody screwed up and invited the wrong person. Because that's never how these big projects go. They always we start with this grand design. We're going to do charrettes. We're going to hear from everybody. And then we're going to get the 3 people who their vision aligns with ours. We're going to go build that building. And then
That's
we're gonna hand it
also
over
a
to
challenge
campus.
of architecture and design in general, because it's not just that the people on the university side have a preconceived idea. We also have preconceived ideas of what that looks like, and we're not actively in education. We're not faculty right now. And so trying to figure out what
Write
the
that down.
actual needs are is hey, everyone at my firm has heard me say that. So we often operate on our own biases, and sometimes it's just aesthetic. And sometimes it's just the needs and interests of the people who are controlling the contract. That is, again, in a biased way. That's why I'm glad that we have a research and development team. We can go in as kind of this semi-third party, second party, and say, yeah, I'm not part of the design team, but I really want to hear and filter through a lot of these voices that might not be invited to a charrette. So I don't think we've nailed it. I don't think we're there yet.
And I think some projects, and you probably know, some projects tend to it doesn't matter. It's a typical building with a typical stuff. We know.
Yeah.
But when you have those projects, like let's pretend an AI makerspace,
Yeah.
let's pretend maybe,
Because those don't exist.
and you
Just
look
got
around.
one right here.
this
that
is a good
exists.
exercise. I think
It's
this is
got
gonna-
AI in it.
Yeah.
no,
and-
this
and-
is
I've
where the
got-
rubber meets the road now.
And I think that's when you sit down and you say, hey, look, we know that we can do as best we can now, but someday you're walking away. The architecture firm, you, the design team, you're walking away. And to look across this and say, for this to be successful, we require, as part of our contract, that we will speak to these people.
Thanks, Raul. Yeah, charrette. gets
Raul,
used.
yeah.
Perfect. The I think looking at kind of the exercise that you have, Justin, and then I'm preaching it right
What-
now.
what did
right? You have a space. You have that.
I got a space.
Right.
I do.
I
And it's
think-
blank.
Right.
Wait, can I give some context real quick?
We will, but here's what I want to share first.
Damn it.
A lot of times, IT groups are wholly focused on service delivery.
Yes.
Tell me what
Yes.
you want, and I will deliver that. They are not good at, well, it's going to kind of do, people are going to walk in and it's going to kind of just, no, I don't know. Put it in a ticket and tell me exactly what you want, and I will deliver that. So that's
Need a
why.
story on that.
Yeah, maybe sometimes they're not at the table because they just want to know, what the hell is the ask? How many network drops do you want? Where do you want it to go? Where's the IDF going to be? And who owns it? What VLAN do you want it on?
No, I don't want any of that. I just want to know how. Talk high
You
level
don't.
about how
Right.
you're going to use this space. Well,
But-
Yeah.
And exactly. So it's about really understanding that experience in translation. This is what the human experience will be in this venue, in this volume. It's going to do this. Here's how we're going to enable that. It's going to require this type of IT service and a density. And you have to know how to bridge that conversation. If you just leave it to the hammers, they're going to say, okay, that's a nail. Let me knock down that nail. And then you show up with the same thing you've always had because that's what
Yes.
service delivery tells us to do. And so how do you intentionally take innovation, normalize that to make it fit into the buckets of service delivery? And that's a really sticky and tricky conversation, especially when it's like, we're only paid for X amount of minutes of consulting.
I
Yeah,
think
I was
the
going to say, as you were talking, I was thinking about how does an AI makerspace fit into that conversation?
Yeah.
Like,
You've got
we don't
16
even know
hours
what
of
it is
meeting.
now, and we don't know what it's going to be in a year from now when it's actually built.
how do you build something that is not defined?
You don't talk about the stuff. You
No.
talk about what would it do if this was successful and how would that change your life?
I'm okay with
Yes.
that too. Define something.
It's not about the
Agreed.
stuff.
And I think that's why a lot of us tend to use the car analogies too. It's like, okay, I need a vehicle. Great. What are you going to do with it once you get it?
Yeah.
It
Well,
needs
I'm
to be
going to race
red.
it. Great. You need a race car.
Yep.
right? Well, I need to haul broken stuff around.
Would you like your gas
Great,
pedal
you need
on
a
the
truck.
left or right? What?
Right? Yeah.
Right. But yeah, we get into it because
I don't think
that's
I've
our background.
ever in 25 years of doing this used a car analogy.
I use
for
it all the
instance.
time.
I use it.
It's the only
I
thing
think we
people.
just identified the genesis of all your problems.
Okay, what kind of system do you want? Do you want a Mercedes or do you want a Ford?
And so right now, that's coming from a place of look at the value menu and order one. Innovation's not on the value menu. It's never going to be, right? And so if it's not on the value menu,
Innovation is not on the value menu.
I know it sounds crazy, right? It's not.
practices
I agree with
We're at
that,
home.
but you still have to define something
here's
before
the
I
thing.
build something.
All of your tools that govern your success, all the management practice, you will not manage your way to innovation. It's not going to happen. You're going to have to do things that are different than what you're currently doing right now. And it's going to be hard. And so you're going to have to
It's not gonna
intentionally
be
engage.
hard.
It'll
gonna
be
be easy.
harder for some than others
You
because
just got to have money.
it's not a
and time.
recipe. It may not be an off-the-shelf recipe, and that's where it's hard for higher education. Higher
Yes.
education likes to see success before they do it. Somebody else has to do it first, and then
Your
head
peer
honchos,
institutions.
they're gonna go. I went to a conference and so did this, and we're gonna do it because I got shipped to go there, and we're gonna come back with a big idea and let me get everybody involved. That's how higher
Mark, but
education
you're in a
works.
space. You are on that innovation space right now. People are looking at University of Oregon right now for
OSU, maybe
OSU,
University
yeah.
of Oregon, yeah.
Well,
And so,
Yep, that was
we
my
all
bad.
look at University of Oregon because it's better.
Go Ducks.
I intentionally started a rivalry.
It was fine. It's because I get Nike money.
yeah, we don't get that money.
Oh man.
Well,
No,
one
but
day
Speaking of
does.
innovation,
We're innovative around academics. They're innovative around athletics, right? And so that it's different. But fundamentally, if we're all going to say research becomes this big beacon of success for higher education, okay, that changes the whole thing, right? How does innovative agentic AI and research make its way into the learning space, and what does it mean for research? And so lean into that. So it's going to be different, and I think fundamentally it is a leadership piece to get buy-in, to articulate that. Here's what the experience will be. We will all learn it together. I do not have the answers, but we will learn and figure it out. And it's a philosophical approach.
And we will fail.
We will.
There will be fails.
But we're going to learn from the failures, right? And so,
And can you stomach $1 million fail?
right.
far more than that, right?
Well, I'm just being conservative.
Right. But
Jamie, all our campuses are littered with those. So.
right. But that's also what makes higher education such a great place to work, right? Because you do have these opportunities. And folks, when you do get a leader who comes along and says, we're going to take some chances, we're going to fall down, we're going to skin our knees, it's not going to be pretty. But we recognize that we have to do something. We can't wait for the Joneses to do it. If we wait for the Joneses to do it, guess what? Our students went to the Joneses, right? The lifeblood being the enrollment, like that's what we're after. We want to bring people in here and make it an attractive university. And how do we get people excited about that? Again, excitement for enrollment is not on my value menu. It's not theirs. We have to kind of understand how what we do rolls up into that larger context.
How do you think the value menu is changing with AI? We were talking about whether all of this is in service of learning outcomes or not. I would argue that learning outcomes are fundamentally changing. Preparing for the job market is an entirely different set of core competencies now than it was 20 years ago. So what is the value menu changing in an AI agentic teaching age?
Larry, I want you to take a stab at that first because
I know, I feel like I was looking directly at Larry's square.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm really struggling with this because there is a new generation of learners, the AI native learners. Historically, high school students are really piss poor at being self-directed. Like that's why hybrid, high flex, none of that has effectively been used for students who are traditional. It's,
Traditionally spoon-fed.
yeah,
They
and
they
so,
need that rigor.
they
And
need
they're at that point in their life where they're learning how to actually learn how to do this.
exactly.
They don't.
like,
They
brains are
don't
mushy
know
until
what
they're
their
in their
learning
mid-twenties.
style is. They're
Yeah.
still figuring out how the best way they
learning
fit
style
into
doesn't
this.
exist, but that's a different.
Learning
Thank
how to
you,
learn.
Larry.
Yeah.
My man.
Jeez.
Sorry.
Let's just
like-
oversimplify.
But
that.
like as an example, a school like WGU, Western Governors University, which is competency based, historically they've not even allowed students graduating high school to enroll. They said we've tested it; it does not work. It's just since COVID that they've allowed that. I'm curious, like how much the AI native student who has used AI to gather information, does that translate into learning outcomes? Because there's a difference between being a data, like an information driven, and actually being able to demonstrate competency and expertise in the subject.
Do you have to be able to if you're going into an AI, an AI native job?
No, you just need to make a
think you
C. No, you just need to make that C.
I know I'm being like a little bit pedantic
I
right now,
know.
and it's not what I actually believe, but I'm really curious if it makes a difference if we actually know something and can report
I'm
it
an
back
idealist, and so I'm going to say you have to show competency, even though I don't necessarily believe it. I've seen enough people out there that aren't competent now that still have jobs that it probably doesn't matter.
Justin has a whole show on that.
I know.
Yeah.
Why did you look at me when you said that?
The only reason I'm pushing on it is because I feel like, again, from the beginning of this conversation, we were trying to figure out what the problem is that we're trying to solve, what are the outcomes that we're interested in, and if the role of higher education is to prepare students for the next step in their career. Certainly there's other pieces of the higher education system, but if teaching is preparing students for the next stage in their career and their career and expectations have fundamentally changed, then do we need a totally different imagination of the environment?
See, and I don't believe that that is the purpose of higher education. Again, I'm an idealist, and so I would say if that was the only role in AI, they're going to lean on AI to do that role, then where does higher ed fit? And so there has to be something else to
There is value in learning how to
other
learn.
than that.
Learning how to learn something
Yes.
and
Yes.
learning how to take agency upon yourself to go and find information and thinking, is this real? Is this not real? I think the types and ways we go about teaching students to actually learn
Yes.
and what that means is going to change. The hunter-gatherer student is not going to be the student of the future. Go find me information and bring it back and regurgitate it on paper is not learning. That's not learning. And so it's going to be more lab-based experiential. I think that's really going. I think that's where it has impact to our physical spaces and our technology. It's really in that more lab-focused approach and understanding that all of our standards that we've gone and have multiple shows around mean nothing in the future. Because they're all going to go out the door and window when we have to make all these unique spaces that are tailored to the type and pedagogy and delivery of that curriculum. What does that
And
mean?
this market, I think we are in agreement for a change. Normally we're not, but I think that, years ago there was this big push for the flipped classroom where students
Yep.
would gather
Upside
information
down.
outside of class and then do.
By the way, just real quick, when you say years ago, that was 20 plus years ago because I
know.
taught in a flipped classroom in 2002.
I'm getting old.
so-
That's all I'm saying. Okay, but
It was just the other day.
Yeah, but I think we're back to that now because information isn't as important as it used to. Like it is so readily available. AI can deliver it, but knowing what to do with that and being able to
Discernment.
demonstrate is where the real higher ed instruction
Don't
will
type
actually
me a paper
happen.
telling me that you know this. Show me that
Yeah.
you know this.
Which
so
means
how do our
more
spaces
experiential learning spaces?
Basically, a trade school.
maybe an immersive trade school? That's what you're building, Justin. You're building a space that can reconfigure itself to mimic different environments for the trades in which they're going to be taught within the four walls.
Yeah, I think the value menu is changing. But
It has to.
it takes a long time to change the value menu. I mean,
You can't just change the price. You have to change the offering. And is it
I've
actually
got-
value? Don't know.
I've got 4 walls and there's 14 foot between each wall, and the
Yeah, we're back
architect.
to the 14-foot wall.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is a real room.
This
so
is a real problem, yeah.
So this is a real problem.
this is his
real
AI
ask.
makerspace.
Yeah, that's an AI XR, some weird term, makerspace, and it's got one glass wall, one door, 14 by 14, and they showed me, this architectural firm showed me the 3D renderings of the internal space, and one wall had an entire screen on it of some type. I don't know if it was, they're talking projection now, right? It doesn't matter either way, but there's just someone's face on it. They're like, we're going to need, and it was floor to ceiling,
Max
just a
bedroom.
face.
Florida ceiling?
And I'm looking at this and I'm going,
Florida.
so
We're old.
they've conversated with the clients. We haven't done that yet. And they're reviewing with us because we're being brought in at a later time. This is what we're envisioning for this space. I'm just saying, son of a bitch. Like, what are we? Am I going to be the wet blanket here? Am I going to be so now I've got this thing in front of me that I've got to figure out how to design something unique and creative that is going to do what they think it's going to do, but also do XR
What did they
AI.
think it was going to do?
TIG welding.
You tell
Well,
him. It came from
Katie?
your group.
Katie, me and you. No, not Katie's group.
Look at her. She's like, no.
I've got marketing
I'm
listening
bowing
to this
out.
call. That was not us.
I'm kidding. It did not come from her group.
So there's more conversations to happen. That's obviously not what it's going to be.
Are
It's
these
going to be something
conversations
different
with
than
the
that.
It's going to be
14-foot
someone's
head?
office.
But again,
Florida ceiling. Yeah.
you know, what are we, how many people is this serving? Well, we're going to have 20 people. It's 14 by 14. Like what? There's a lot of conversation yet to happen about how this end result's going to look.
Here's one example that I use. I say the college experience is not necessarily always about finding out what you like and what you're good at. Can you design an experience that allows the student to find out something that, holy shit, I hate this?
Yeah, I can do that every day.
Right?
I
So
do that all the
if
time.
I can make a lab that will show you what it's like to be somewhere else as a researcher that you've signed up and going to college, you're about to spend $150,000 of your money on. But if I can put you in a simulator that allows you to say, this is what it feels like to be a day in the life of somebody in X industry, and you show up and be like, I think I'm going to hate this. And you change to go to a different, like that's just as successful. So you're not
That's
wasting
life-changing.
all of your money,
Yeah,
right? And that's
that's okay.
changing your life because you're creating that immersive experience to allow that student to not invest in something that's not going to be a good fit for them.
Mark, you should build that as a simulator where they make shoes because then you get
Right.
free shoes out of it.
I have several of my own children that I wish
So
this
it's-
experience happened for.
It's not about
make
like
your shoes too.
what do you want to see on this wall? It's what would you like to be able to experience and take that research and say, this is what I can mimic and bring you into this environment so our students can say, oh, wow, yes, this is what I want to do. You know what? That aligns with my passions. I want to do that and put them in those fields so they understand that. Or they learn, no, I don't want to be on a boat over in the ocean, blah, 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 and I'm getting seasick and all this stuff. I'm going to go just work on a farm. That's value too. So sometimes looking at it differently, not about what do you want to see here, what do you want to be able to experience here?
Yeah, yes, because
But
I think
Mark, wait, hold on. If they just went to the farm, what did that do to our retention rate?
We have ag stations all over the
That's
state.
not successful, Mark.
I
we do a
I
lot
think
of
one
research
of
He has an ag
one of the
program,
things
so he's
that really hamper students too is that there's a plethora of more job out there than what they think there are. Like I might go into athletic training, right?
Hey, there's this
But
whole
there's
world called
more.
AV that nobody knows
There's
about
a whole
too.
right.
Well, we all have degrees in that.
People
Justin.
go to radio, people go to TV, people go to film, and they end up in AV, right? Or like when I went through, I wanted to be in mass media, right? I wanted to be in radio and TV. I didn't even know there was a thing called an engineer that did that specifically, and that's really what I wanted. I wanted that job, but I didn't know it existed. And so I went down the wrong path, spent a lot of loan money, and took 6 years, 7 years to get to the place where I kind of wanted to be to begin with. And so, Mark, I'm with you. I wish there was a way to kind of let students early on, or people, even before school, before they enroll, before they get a loan that says, is this really the direction I want to go? How many people drop out of pre-med? I'm going to be a doctor. Wait, doctor sucks. I'm going to do this.
But
no,
we've
wait,
already
that
got
sucks.
sim centers, right?
Yeah.
So in theory, some of this immersive stuff already exists. So what takes it the step further that we're actually using this infrastructure for students to explore?
A lot of those sim centers are already curricular based. That
And
you're
they're
only,
very
you're only going to
static.
be in there when you're at the higher level
Yeah,
of that.
that's
of the
And they're
organization.
they're training for the people who are actually going to go in that direction.
Yeah.
I think one of the fallacies here in our ideas is that schools don't really they don't really want that to happen.
No, I mean, but again, you have to change. Right?
Because
We
what
all-
if you decide the school's not for you? What if you decide that you don't, right? And then,
That's
there
being
is
a
a
good
bottom
steward.
dollar involved here.
Like, here's a great example. We have a full-on cadaver lab on campus that we have a bunch of AV in. It might be fairly
In the
easy.
cadavers?
in the cadaver? Yeah, that's what's going on.
Yeah,
there.
weird.
It
It's
might
really
be.
rough because I got to go change it every couple of days.
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt to change stuff out. But
Literally.
Yeah.
But that would be a great opportunity to create some kind of virtual way of exposing someone to that, because what if someone decided, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do physical therapy or something in the medical field. All right, well, let's see if you can handle, a dead body, and they pass out. Yeah, that's not the field for me, right? I mean,
But then, so
something like
let's
that.
take that example though, Justin. And so we've all been in rooms where if we're not there, we can interpret that as somebody said they wanted VR goggles. I have no idea how the hell we're putting VR goggles in here, right? And so it's about the interpretation of that, right? And so because we jump to the stuff. We're like, I got to figure out this stuff. I got to build materials. The time's ticking. They need all this, and it's
the stuff is the last step. I just need the idea so I can figure out how I'm going to build it, not what I'm going to build it with. I just give me some breadcrumbs in what you're going to turn on the light switch and you walk in the room. What are you going to do next?
No, there's a sensor for that, sir.
That's fine.
What's next?
It turns on when you walk in.
That's fine. You set that expectation, but just kind of walk through what you're going to do in this room and what you want to experience. And then we'll figure that stuff out later,
Yeah.
Does
we
that
answer
type of
any of your
space
questions?
feel... No, I've got another one. Does that type of space feel more valuable to you? Like if your university had X amount of money, would
They
you
don't.
want them...
That's exactly how much we
You're talking to the wrong university.
Specifically that.
No, we're playing a game. I could play along. I could play along
What would it
with this.
take for us to come talk to you?
Let's say someone has appeared and is offering you, your local wizard has appeared, and they have
know
offered
him.
you money to invest in campus. Is that the type of space, that type of experiential? Again, we're almost agnostic here, right? Like simulation space. Is that the type of investment that you would want to see, or are you looking at something else?
I think it depends on the trade and what you're doing.
Yeah.
We have a lot of simulations on campus already. We've been doing it, again, like Chris said, this has been going on for 20 years, like nursing simulations and all that stuff. I think they're advancing, but more simulations would be good. But how, like for your field, Katie, how would you simulate psychology? Is that something that you could? I don't know, right? I mean, that's just...
I think you probably could with agentic AI. You might
don't
actually
know.
very well be able to do that.
just have them ride public transit.
Now.
But then
yes,
again,
now.
is that that's not a built environment problem? That's a platform problem.
Yes.
Correct.
Exactly. And so, but I think if you did the needs analysis based on the conversation we just had, it's easy to come away with, I'm building a sim lab.
Right.
We're not building a sim lab. That's one element that I'd like this space to be capable of delivering.
Correct. It's a physical, it's one thing built for one thing, right? And what we're talking about is a simulation area that could maybe handle multiple types of trades and multiple things.
So with our space that we're looking at, it's a little bit larger volume than the 14 by 14 room that Justin has.
15 by 15.
It's 15 by 15. Right?
Yeah.
So to me, I say this
With
is the
9-foot ceilings.
it's bolted onto the research piece of it so that it is about the human experience with the data output, right? So it's agentic based. Take your dirty data, whatever you want to say, bring it in, upload it, speak to the room and say, generate 15 different versions of this with outputs that give me high resolution output video, put me in the space in an audio volume so I can feel like I'm in that immersive arena, and let me understand the impact of what this research meant so I can experience that. Then
So
part
you're
of that
building
is also,
Jarvis.
potentially, yes. So I'm doing that, and that I'm also have a capture element so I can actually capture what that human experience is. It's not enough to just create the experiences. Now, how does this experience get shared with others? It's like we went out, we did the research, we saved the world, we showed you how we're doing it, you experienced that saving the world. Now I have to tell that story at large. Right? And so it's part of this entire ecosystem, not just one little element of it. It's not just a sim lab. It's actually this immersive experiential data environment.
Is it scalable?
No.
Can't ask that.
Currently, no, it is not. But I think there's elements that can be. And I think but it does mean that we have to have a really intentional conversation about what our networks look like. Mm-hmm. You know, who owns what? Where does it sit? How does it sit on the research piece of it? You know, where does it overlay with AI and AV, IT, and it's cross-organizational and it's not coming off the value menu in that way. It's a different thing that I think that is the future of what we will be tasked with day in and day out. More things like this as the college experience becomes more ambiguous, right? What does that mean? Our spaces will probably be that way also.
Well, and then you get to look at the second version of it where some other group on campus sees that. One said they want exactly that. They really love what you've done there. They want one of those of their own, and they have $40,000.
Right. So
They need $4 million.
Did we answer any questions for you today, Katie? I'm not sure.
Or just gave you a bunch more is what we did.
No, I love this. Jamie, I have to come back to you eventually with a question about pushing harder for more people at the table. You all saw.
That could be a different conversation too.
I know.
That's a whole
Like,
other
how do we
subject.
open? How do we crack that? How do we crack that can open?
I think that you and one of your friends from your group can come on and
B, I know you're listening.
You almost like the
Because-
architecture firms almost need some kind of 101 how to build a building correctly education forum before you sign a contract where it's
From you?
you present it to
No, you present it
Oh,
to
I
us.
thought Justin. I
You-
thought you were going to tell us.
No. Like the architectural
Yes,
firm
Got
will
3
come
steps.
in,
That's all you need to know.
and
Yes.
if you notice the right people aren't at, like, maybe we should go over the elementary reasons
Show
why these
idea.
stakeholders should be here and kind of talk through some things. And this is not going to be successful if these key components aren't at the table contributing to this. And that's
Who are
fine.
the-
We'll still take your money, but it's going to fail if these people are not here. And are
It's a
you
big
paying
investment.
attention?
We want you to get the most out of your
architectural
investment.
risk recon. Like, who should be
absolutely.
there? Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think seriously, that's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
We've tried to open our thing, and we talked to some consultant not too long
Can we
ago.
have part 2 with Katie?
and
Can we do that?
well, yeah, and
Y'all,
I
if you
do
saw
think
my heart rate right now when I accidentally screwed up OSU versus University of Oregon, I was like, I need to leave.
We did-
I need to leave
all the
now.
No, that's
we did see that because we have the sensors built into
Yeah, because
StreamYard.
we can all see.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Biometrics
so-
are there.
We got it off the Bluetooth from your
We were-
headphones.
But it doesn't
registering
talk to
your
anything.
engagement. It's in.
We
it's
just
in the
log
cloud.
those.
Yeah.
And then the eye roll, oh boy, we're tearing up your check now.
But that's
Hey, you get a couple other people who are trying to build these spaces, and we can chat about
But
what the issues are.
I think that this conversation within the realms of AI and bringing it into the building and our learning outcomes, but I do think that also dovetails into this other conversation too, is like, as we are challenged to come up with new learning spaces and new things, and we know the challenge of building a building is there. We know there's contracts. We know there's walls and red tape and things to get through. But from your end,
And there's a day one that's already set 4 years ahead of time. So
yes, and from your side, it's like, so how hard are you in getting into this? And so even for your business practices, what is your measure of success? Well, we wanted to deliver you a AI institute, an AI media lab that will be better for students. Well, how did you define better? Did you reach your outcomes? How do you make sure that, or do you even care? But the check cleared, cared, yay! But no, I'm being mean to you. I'm being mean to you right now, but that's
You're
sometimes
not
how we
mean.
feel.
No, you're talking like a researcher, and I think you're sharing some of the same questions that I have internally too. Like, how do we know if we delivered on our promise?
Mm-hmm.
How do we know that we are elevating the human experience?
that's hard.
And that
for us-
requires. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I interrupted you too.
No, you're good.
And for us, that question also sits there too, because in the back of our minds, like, what do you give a flying rip?
Oh, Jamie about said something there.
I almost did.
Yeah, you did. I
But-
saw
but-
it.
these are all marked as explicit. Go ahead.
Yeah, but why would you care, right? Like I said, again, really mean. Check cleared, we're good.
Well,
And sometimes
No,
with
we want-
architectural groups and universities, like, that's a long-standing relationship, and you're going to get the next job anyway.
Well, no, not necessarily.
Not the public
So
university.
I said some, but typically when you
they
see
have
this, you see the same relationship again and again and again and again. And so these are things that come into play when we start talking to each other is, okay, we want you to hold us accountable up front. Be like, if we're going to be successful, you need to be there. And on the reverse side, we need to be able to say, well, we were there to make you, we're going to be successful together.
All right, Jamie, I've got a couple answers to your question.
Did I
Like,
have
why-
a question?
why do
I
we
just
care?
ramble.
Well, I see what you're.
Well, I feel like a lot of you do care. That I'm being generous and very facetious, bad words.
He's been burnt.
maybe
I can
once.
hear the frustration. Again, Jamie, I'm not your psychologist. Like, we could talk a little bit more about why you're so hurt by architects.
That's a different podcast, Jamie.
No,
But no, genuinely, first of all, we don't automatically get the next project, especially if it's with a public institution. They have to bid it out. Obviously, the relationship helps. From the business standpoint, there is a lot of value in us being able on the next project, whether it's for the same client or a different client, to be able to say, hey, we delivered this academic building with the intent of increasing enrollment, doubling the number of butts in seats, and improving retention outcomes, whatever it is. Here are the design strategies that we implemented and how that is tied to those specific outcomes. There is a lot of business value in our being able to do that and tell that story.
Yep.
Beyond the business.
We see that posted, but we don't necessarily see that in reality.
I think that's true. I think that's a very fair assessment in general of where the architecture industry is. If you went to any architecture and design conference right now, you'd hear a lot of people talking about the value of post-occupancy evaluations and how everyone should do them. But in the same way that we were discussing who pays for any of the projects on campus, who pays for a post-occupancy evaluation? Shouldn't your university also want to know how their investment is doing?
And the timing of that is critical, because if you do that 3 to 6 months after the building's built, your data is not going to be any good.
No.
You need to do it.
But also, if you do it in
at least 1 to 2 years.
Yep. We like to
1 to
target
2
that
years.
like 12 to 18 months. You've settled in, the kinks are kind of worked out. You've had a chance to make the operations match the design intent. But that's where, Mark, you started by saying we need to iterate more. A post-occupancy evaluation is really the only way we get an objective opportunity to say, hey, we intended the design to operate this way and it's not. So let's make your investment work better for you.
And we also have to base this on student outcomes, and those student outcomes have to be completed each semester. So you probably need to wait 2 semesters to evaluate and aggregate all that data from the students.
Especially if curriculum is changing because you've got a new space, right?
And that's the variable that we haven't talked about in this last conversation.
I accidentally got us off what we wanted to talk about.
Jamie's rambling again.
I really do think this is another show.
I do too. I mean,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
How to get to successful, like how do we measure success? Well, unless the instructional design team is there at the beginning as well, then our success is determined by how well the instruction is happening in the room. So,
a lot of this is when you talk about, if you're going to build a building right now, the only things we're measuring on are our current capabilities. So we have curriculum, we have syllabus, and like, how do we do that? Well, we're kind of doing that. So if we're measuring based on what we're already doing, it doesn't really do us any good. So how are we cataloging the things we want to be able to do, right?
Yes.
And so you have to be able to give enough on-ramp to say, yes, we knew we only had this piece and these instructors and these champions that were doing these things and these very innovative approaches. We had to move into the building, but now once we have that capability and we know we can do it, it's given us the ability to change, to pull this thing from our catalog that we wanted to be able to do. Now we can do it. So what additional capabilities do we now have today that we didn't have at the onset of this design? And I think it's hard to get to that. And it's a really rough road to travel to say, well, I just need a space that can do all these whiz-bang things, but I don't really know what it looks like because I haven't done it yet, right? And so you're trying to like forecast that hurricane to say, okay, well, let's try to land this somewhere where we can at least be able to do that. If an instructor says, yes, this worked, and I was able to think differently on how I delivered this, how my students were engaged, I have amazing feedback from my students on how I'm actually performing in here and what they're getting from me. Like, those are the keywords. So what is the language of success? Like, how do we even ask those types of questions? Not just, can it fit 40 people? Well, of course it can. Did the chairs move? Well, yeah, it's a concrete floor and they have wheels on them. Great.
Yeah, was the building successful?
And is that any different than what we did before?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, but what is it? So the nuances in how we ask those questions to get that feedback to know if we were successful or not. And are we, now we're in a whole like survey language and like all these pieces, right?
Oh, you want to talk research methods?
Yeah, we're not going to go into that. But kind of going back, it's like, okay, that experience, designing around that, where does that meet kind of where our subject matter expertise are? Like, how can we contribute to this? How do we look at this? Like, if I was going to do this black box thing that Justin has, well, what would I forecast that I need, not today, 10 years from now, right? I think we talked offline about this. It's like, we probably all agree that flexible infrastructure, going away from like rigid, fancy looking things. Maybe it's not all concrete, not all glass, but how do we intentionally design for what we don't know? What does a space need to do that I cannot define today? What is that language? 'Cause I've had pushback from architectural firms in the VE phase. Well, I can't give you this conduit or that because you can't define what's in there. I'm like, well, just put a string in it. I don't care. Put something in there so it works on your rev. It's fine. But intentionally saying, no, that is a future piece. And I can't tell you what it is today, but I need you to capture that. And I need you to actually really, really be on my side and facilitate that and make sure you're stewarding this need for the future today.
Mark, I'm going to just capture that and give it to our design teams in our visioning sessions.
There you go.
That we need to be okay with the abstract and
Ambiguity.
yeah, the ambiguity.
It's not perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
But let it not be perfect.
Yeah.
And let the design process not have to look like the design process from yesterday. That's it. We got there.
Okay.
But I think we do need to bring you back, Katie. I think
On
there's
that
too much ground to cover, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been awesome. I mean, I think I'm looking forward to kind of going through some of those additional shreds you have moving forward, because I think the conversation is well warranted. And higher education is changing. Our spaces look different. Our students look different. We will look different. And AI is definitely going to be a catalyst in that. You Justin, are probably going to look the most different. We've
I
seen
was really
you
wanting to
in
try to get a
AI,
haircut, but I'm
Yeah.
I'm look the same as I did yesterday.
Chris,
We can do an AI haircut if you need it.
we can do that.
Larry's got a new set of clippers he got from CES.
That's right.
Oh, yes, I did. AI clippers.
The AI clippers.
Katie, if people listen to this nonsense and all this ground we covered today, and you're like, you know what, that Katie, I need to reach out and talk to her. How can they go about getting a hold of you?
I would love for you to reach out. You can reach out via LinkedIn, or you can learn a little bit more about our evolution of campus work that Mark has been involved in so far. I think if you've gotten to this point and you're still listening, you'd probably be interested in both our current evolution of campus. We're calling it our 6.0 effort around AI skills and how it changes the learning environment, but also our previously published 5.0 effort, which is available online if you just look at Evolution of Campus DLR group, which pertains entirely to the first half of this conversation about getting data to talk to each other, putting it in the right place, and actually making use of it beyond automation. So we're taking two different looks at the way AI supports campuses, and I'm pretty stoked we happened to cover both of them in the last hour and a half.
We
Hour and a half.
hour and a half. This has been a long one. Yeah.
Hey,
half,
that
guys.
it seemed like, man, that went quick.
Drug you through it, kicking and screaming, Justin. So
Yeah,
we
some
got
of these
there.
shows, man, they seem like 5 hours long. It's really, it's some Fridays.
This one,
but
I
was
think,
different.
This one invokes
This is
passion
great.
for people. This one, it's people are into this one. So it's one of those things that it won't be the last time we're going to talk about it. I think we can go on all
No,
day.
you bring it up every freaking week.
Exactly.
Yeah, seriously.
My self-indulgence. Yes. So, Chris, anything you want to add? Wait, how's Wyoming digesting this? You're all in, right? Just all goggles, all theaters of the mind.
Well, I was going to say, and I backed off real quick, but I waited for someone to say VR, and it took over an hour to get there. The minute that comes up in the conversation, I tune that off, because VR is not an answer to anything. And I don't need to answer, and I don't need to do the rant now, but VR has not moved forward one iota since 1984, so we don't need that as a solution
doing
to
it.
anything. So, yeah. Anyway.
Critical technology we need. tied
No, we're
together.
building lots of flexible learning spaces with no power in the room. That's our newest thing. It's like, why would you need lots of student tables, flexible seating, but no place to plug in your stuff? So,
No.
perfect.
It's interesting from like a digital detox perspective. Like,
Oh, no. What happens is the students are very good.
Oh, no, they
Your
want
average-
digital.
Your average 19-year-old is very good at finding power, and so they show up with their
One
own power
outlet.
strips and cable. No, seriously, and there's crap all over the floor. So
They walk in with just cables strapped around them. And
It's
don't
a
know where they
philosophy
come from.
class. Yeah, it's mostly
I-
philosophy.
I
It's we
might
have
have
one
been that
outlet, and
person.
then here's a couple extension cords and a couple this, and it's like studying the Lord of the Flies. How do they go about getting access to this technology so they can share or not? It's interesting.
because those TikToks aren't looking at themselves. So.
Well, Chris, you want to get us out of here? Some level.
roll out.
All right. Well, Katie, been a
We'll
blast
be back
having you here.
next week with more nonsense.
Come
Thanks,
back.
Katie.
This is again.
this was awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Well, we've managed to ruin yet another episode of AV SuperFriends Off the Rails. You can contact us with questions, topic ideas, or general complaints at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com. If you complain loud enough, we might just invite you on the show.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
The opinions expressed by the AV SuperFriends are solely those of the individuals and do not represent their respective institutions, organizations, companies, or clients.